So why don't we get right into it? What's the name of your show? Tell me a little about it. What's it about?
Yeah, name of the show is Katrina, the K Word. It was written by two playwrights. I never remember their names. It's Lisa Brenner and Suzanne Trout. That's it. So basically, it's just about Hurricane Katrina. It's based off of real interviews that were conducted with people who were, involved with the storm 10 years ago. So we're kind of doing this as like a 10th anniversary piece since, it was 10 years ago, 2005. And yeah, the play is like an ensemble piece, and it focuses on the lives of 12 different characters. And the way we're doing it is it's like a staged reading. So for those that aren't familiar with that, it's just the actors are on stage, and when they're not acting, they're sitting in a chair and they have script in hand. And it's like fairly simple staging, pretty bare set, and yeah, that's the gist of it.
How did you get on board to direct this? What was the decision to make you direct this? Were you happy with it when they picked you?
Yeah, definitely. Over the summer that I was asked to do it, a professor at my school, her name is Dr. Teresa Dudek, who is about to direct a show, Eurydice, at the university, just got cast. She was originally slated to do it, but then she just got so busy with doing Eurydice that she needed another director to do it. And so I just had taken a couple of directing classes, and I guess the faculty kind of liked what I had to offer with my directing scenes, so they just asked me if I would do it. And actually, this is the first actual play that I've directed. I've only directed like scenes from plays before. So, and I mean, I'm a senior undergraduate, so this is sort of like a learning process for me too. But I'm very flattered that they asked me to do it.
What were like some of the big challenges when directing something like this? Like you said, this is like not your normal play, and you're used to only doing scenes. What's the challenge in doing a play like this where it's just a stage reading? What are the challenges? How do you approach it? Do you approach it differently than you would approach another type of directing?
Right, it's definitely different because for one thing, it's a lot longer. The show is a little under 90 minutes, so that's quite the difference from like a 10 or 15-minute scene. Also, I've never worked with a cast this big. I think the biggest I've worked with prior to this was like 3 people at once and a stage manager. But here we've got 12 actors, stage manager. The previously mentioned doctor is like kind of my faculty advisor. Then there's another guy from our civic engagement program who's helping to produce this. So it's just a lot of emails, it's a lot of like professional discussion that like is fairly new to me. And aside from that, just in terms of like the actual creative process of it, because it's a stage reading, we have to make it look interesting in a way because it's so simple. So just like working with a cast of 12 people is kind of challenging to make them all collaborate effectively. And another unique aspect of the play is that a lot of the times characters will, they all have a primary role, but they'll also kind of dip into secondary characters occasionally. So I kind of like tried to work it to make it not seem confusing to the audience that that's what they're doing. So it's just sort of a way of advising actors on how to differentiate their character a little bit to communicate that they're doing something different. So those are just like a few of the challenges, I guess.
Okay. So like you're a director. I don't know if you're a writer director, but for this, you're definitely just the director. And I've always found it interesting that when you're just a director, you have to take basically someone else's work. And rarely do people ever are honest about it, or maybe they're just telling the truth. But when you take someone else's work, you've read it. Do you agree with everything that you're directing and everything that's spoken? Or are there things that you don't agree with? And how do you deal with stuff that you don't agree with? Or is this pretty much you agree with everything that's in this text and what's being said and message?
Well, yeah, I pretty much agree with the whole thing because it's not really a political kind of play. It's more based on people's like, human experiences and stuff like that. And I guess probably the most political thing is that there's like a couple mentions to Mayor Nagin at the time, and like, well, some characters say that he was doing a good job, others say that he wasn't. I mean, I don't think I have enough of like a solid opinion on that, but as far as most of the content of the play goes, it's just sort of based on people's recollections of what happened, and you know, dealing with that, and their families dealing with that, and just sort of how they were able to move past that. So yeah, it's a very, like, I would say, agreeable play to most people.
So, what makes this show exciting? There's so many shows that go on in Orange County. Why go to this show? What makes it special and different and interesting for where it's worth spending a Friday night to watch it?
Right. Well, actually, it's Monday through Wednesday.
Okay, Monday through Wednesday.
States. Yeah, what's really interesting about this show, I think, is first and foremost, it's a very diverse cast in both like ethnicity and age and just sort of standing, because it involves undergraduates. There's a graduate student in there, and there's like 3 faculty members. So there's some professional actors, there's some like up and coming actors. So it's like it's very interesting to see them all on stage working together, and that's something kind of rare, I think. And it's a very intimate space. It's very easy to connect with the action that's going on. It's a small black box theater. It's free, so there's that. And yeah, I mean, it's a very relevant topic still to this day. You know, we all have some measure of experience with it. So I think connecting with Katrina on an artistic level is something worthwhile that, you know, anyone could relate to.
When the way it kind of seems, it's because it's free, it kind of seems like it's one of those things that's just kind of we're reworking a show before it's actually being made into a show. But could something like a show like this, where it is kind of a reading and it's just people going up telling stories, couldn't that be a complete show too? And do you approach it when you're directing it as a complete show, or do you already have it in mind as, no, this is just a work in progress and I'm doing the best I can with a work in progress?
Well, I wouldn't really call it a work in progress, because I mean, from the get-go, it was always going to be a staged reading, and the rehearsals were like fairly minimal. It was like 4 regular rehearsals, a tech rehearsal, and then we have the performances. So, I mean, just as long as you come from it, like as an audience member from that angle, and just understand what you're getting yourself into. It's not, you know, it's fairly low budget. It's a student-directed work, so, you know, we're all kind of learning things here. But at the same time, it's really about the message that we're trying to communicate, and the fact that we were able to gather all these different types of people into this one space to do this, I think, is really cool.
All right. Well, if you want to promote it, tell us the days and times when people can come and see the show, and those are all my questions.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Katrina the K-Word at Chapman University. It's in the Moulton Center, 149. It's the Black Box Theater, and it opens tomorrow night and runs through. So that's tomorrow, Monday, September 21st, and it runs through Wednesday, September 23rd, and all the times start at 7:30 p.m. and it's a little under 90 minutes. So it's a lot shorter than most plays out there, I would say.